Hey guys, it's Mike. It's been a while since I've made a video on camera. Driving out to a couple stores, and yeah, man, today is rough. To see that the immortal Hulk Hogan has passed away. I was fortunate to meet Hulk in April of 2024 during WrestleMania 40 weekend with WWE World. I remember when they put that ticket on sale, and I bought that one right away. I thought that was such a huge deal to meet Hulk Hogan, and he did not disappoint. I shook his hand. He looked me right in the eyes. Right, because I told him my name is Mike, I'm a big fan. You only get a few seconds when you're at these things, with these meet and greets. And he had such a big turnout, too. And he looked me in my eyes, and, he thanked me for coming out. I said, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate you being a fan. Thank you for coming out today. And he was genuine, He was a genuine guy. His legacy in wrestling is unmatched. It's something that it can't be duplicated based on the times that we're living in. Hulk had a way of bringing the people in the building. I think he's the greatest draw in all of wrestling. You go back to the 80s, early 90s, especially in WWE, and what he accomplished. Without Hulkamania, there's really no WrestleMania. There's none of these other big events that we see. Remember that whole rock and wrestling thing that they had on MTV, which eventually led to WrestleMania. So many unbelievable memories. They used to do like 6-7 hour TV tapings of the old WWF Superstars, WWF Wrestling Challenge, Primetime Wrestling matches for those shows. And those people would sit there 6-7 hours. They would do nonstop squash match after squash match. And it was all to wait, because at the end you knew you were going to see Hulk Hogan. And if he was in that ring for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, it didn't matter. You knew you were going to hear that music hit and you were going to feel something. If I go through his list of accomplishments, this video would be hours long, so I can't do that. I have a favorite memory of Hulk's career. I think back to 1990 when he put Warrior over at WrestleMania 6 in the Sky Dome. And I think about that as a fan. And from my perspective, I think, obviously he got the best match that Warrior ever had. You can argue the match Warrior had with Savage at WrestleMania 7 was Warrior's best match, but he made a star that night, like a legitimate star. And as they went off and everybody did their own thing throughout the rest of the year, when Hulk had returned, wrestlers would want to be on his house show loop. So they would have a house show with Hulk, and then there'd be another house show. They're running another town that day with Ultimate Warrior as champion. And this is no slight on the Ultimate Warrior. God rest his soul as well. Unbelievable legend for so many different reasons in this business. But I think with Hulk, because the pay scale, everything was so different back then, how wrestlers got paid. And everybody wanted to be on Hulk's house shows. And it didn't matter if Warrior had the title. That is when you realize that it doesn't matter sometimes who the champion is. Like in current times, Roman Reigns does not have the title. But I don't believe there's a bigger box office draw right now in the modern era, in this era, than Roman Reigns on this active roster. That goes for Cody Rhodes. That goes for Rhea Ripley. You know, you name it. Seth freaking Rollins. Anybody in AEW. There's no, you know, box office draw is really hard to find. So, you know, Vince McMahon, man, he wouldn't have been able to take that calculated gamble that he did on WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan brought wrestling into the mainstream. He did so much in the WWE. And then, you know, you fast forward and what he did for WCW when he signed there in 94. The reactions started to get less and less, and then switched up. In 1996, it was Hogan, Hall, Nash. They formed the NWO at Bash at the Beach 96. Greatest heel turn. And the reason why it was the greatest heel turn is because it made the most money. You know, in modern times, John Cena's heel turn, that angle, was done very effectively earlier this year at Elimination Chamber in Toronto. But Hulk Hogan's heel turn, he went on a big run as Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I mean, Hollywood Hogan, that gimmick, he was hated because he was so loved. And I think, you know, personal issues that Hulk had outside of the ring, you know, were unfortunate. He definitely said some things that I wouldn't agree with. Definitely, you know, said some things that might have tarnished his legacy for some. Not for me, though. Not for me. I believe Hulk's legacy is intact. He's the greatest draw in the business. And then came your Stone Colds, Rock, Cena, Roman, even throw Cody in there. But, you know, when people talk about, like, you know, outside the ring and this and that, look, he said what he said. I know that he was being recorded in the confines of his own home. I don't think anybody's perfect. But I do know 18 months ago, Hulk also, you know, got baptized again and gave his life to, you know, Jesus Christ and you know, was a very big believer in God. I feel terrible because I've been watching wrestling my whole life. I'm 35 now, but I know the impact of a passing like this. It's terrible. It's so unfortunate to see Hulk Hogan pass away at the age of 71, knowing that the last appearance he had in wrestling on television, on camera, in front of a live audience, wrestling audience, was that Raw on Netflix in California, where he was booed beyond belief for his political views because he supports our president, Donald Trump. And nowadays, if you know, people want to label you something if you believe in something they don't. I mean, I don't deal with negative people in my life. Anybody negative, I get rid of them, really. I just say, goodbye, take care, you go your own way, I'll go my own way. So sad that's the last time that we got to see Hulk on television in a wrestling setting. And I'll be at SummerSlam next week. I think about some really cool memories of SummerSlam with Hulk. When I watched, when you go back and watch SummerSlam, the very first SummerSlam 88, Hulk and Macho, the Mega Powers, taking on, what they call them, the Mega Bucks at the time, I think it was, with $1 Million Man and Andre the Giant. Go to that. You see when he had that rivalry with Zeus that came out of the movie No Holds Barred. Hulk's character, Rip 'em. So many unbelievable things. Faced Earthquake at SummerSlam 90. And back SummerSlam 91. When Warrior got himself fired because he wanted to hold up the company for more money. It was Hulk and Warrior taking on Slaughter, Colonel Mustafa, who you know is the Iron Sheik, and General Adnan with Sid Justice as the ref. There's so many memories, you know. He's been a part of so many things. I can't even, I don't have time to list everything. I can list it off the top of my head because I think. I'm wearing a shirt that I got when I was in Florida for the Rumble back in 2024. And I even got a chance to go to Hulk's store out there. And I also got to eat at Hogan's Hangout, that bar and grill. That was cool. Had a burger, fries. Clearwater, Florida is beautiful. Yeah, man. Hulk passed. And when I found out, my heart sunk. When you're a diehard wrestling fan, your whole life, and you spend so much money on this and so much energy and so much effort that you give wrestling as a fan, it's almost like you lose a family member in a weird way, you know? It's just, there's so many wrestlers that have passed that I've said to myself, oh my God, I can't believe this person's gone. This is crazy. I think Hulk hits me the hardest so far because it's like, this was an icon. This was like, I remember with his NWO music, and I think something dubbed over the sound, and it would be like the greatest icon or the biggest icon in wrestling, you know. And his NWO music would play. I mean, for God's sakes, came out to Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child, with that. Oh man, how about putting The Rock over at WrestleMania 18? He was the bad guy. Remember, weeks leading up to that, they crashed the semi-truck. Crashed it into an ambulance that The Rock was in. They destroyed The Rock. I remember when the NWO came to WWE, right? Just before that, it was No Way Out 2002. And Vince had said, I'm going to inject a lethal poison, you know, into the WWF. And they came out, man, and well, anyway, WrestleMania 18, Hulk's the bad guy here. You know, Rock's the baby face. And the fans in Skydome, you know, they were going nuts for Hulk because they remembered, you know, HULKAMANIA is here. Yeah, last time Skydome saw him before then was Hulk and Warrior, WrestleMania 6, like I had mentioned. Can't forget about WrestleMania 3, put over 90-something thousand in the Pontiac Silverdome. Him and Andre, unbelievable. No other main event could have done that at that point in time. That was unbelievable for wrestling. I mean, my God, WrestleMania 3. The reason why I would, like, obviously, like, people will say, well, you know, the best match on that card was Savage and Steamboat. Let me explain something to you about great mechanics, great technicians, great wrestlers in that ring. A lot of them are just that. And I'm not saying, I mean, Savage was a draw as well, to an extent. But when you're a great wrestler, that's awesome. You can do all the moves, it's unbelievable. But can you put asses in the seats, right? And, you know, when Hulk kind of left, you know, in the early 90s, you know, you saw Bret become champion. Awesome wrestler. One of the greatest, obviously. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time in that ring. But did he bring people in the building? No. Did Shawn bring people in the building? No. How about Diesel? No. So it was Hulk. It was Hulk. And you know, those great wrestlers that people love and that people say, this is the best wrestler, that's the best wrestler, they wouldn't have had that canvas that night, that showcase to show everyone what they were capable of doing in that ring, if it wasn't for the people buying a ticket to see Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan will be greatly missed. I think it's unfortunate stuff you read online, how hateful people are after a man passes. You know, he has a family, he has children. I think that's really sad that people, you know, go on those websites or those apps and they say things. You have, like, you know, those fake dirt sheet writers that create a podcast for it like 2 minutes later. And they say, we'll donate this and we're going to talk about Hulk Hogan's death, you know. Yeah, real genuine. All a bunch of jerks, all a bunch of losers. Those dirt sheet people, man, they're bigger marks than any of us fans ever been called them. I mean, they're bigger marks than any fan you can imagine. You imagine those dirt sheet people making money off the backs of the wrestlers and charging like $5 or something to tell you what's going to happen on a show? Give me a fucking break. Fucking bums. Hulk was a legend, was an icon. He busted his ass. He made the towns, put wrestling on the map, and you can't take that away from him. And guess what? There'll never be another Hulk Hogan. Never. There never was. Everybody had their own different style. I grew up watching Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was my idol. But everybody had their own different way of bringing them in the building. The one thing I'll say about Hulk, he was the first real draw. He was the biggest draw in all of wrestling. And he was somebody that was worth purchasing a ticket to go see. Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, rest in peace, man. Thank you for everything you've given all of us wrestling fans over the years. And, man, what a shame. Just pray for his family, his close friends that, you know, that are deeply affected by this, and I think all of wrestling should be deeply affected by this. I think it's a real shame for the people that don't want to honor Hulk. You know, it's late here in the afternoon, early evening, where I'm at. You know, if there's a wrestling company out there that doesn't want to post a tribute to Hulk Hogan because of some comments he made in his house when he was recorded. He made terrible comments, but come on, guys. You know, there'd be no wrestling. He was the Babe Ruth of wrestling. So, God bless. There'll be more videos coming from me next week during the big SummerSlam Premium Live Event week. That's going to be huge. This person almost hit my car, and my car's parked. Hulk Hogan, we love you. And for anybody that has anything negative to say, that's just not going to work for me, brother. Take care, Hulk. Miss you, buddy.